recently at one of our woke college campuses who said she's required in every class to introduce herself and to give her pronouns. Well, I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
That's funny. That's my pronoun too. There is a lot of it, folks. Whether it's telling someone to just F off all the way that way, make a hard left till you get to the end of the road and then keep going, or just kiss my ass. Oh, the stupid is off the hook. We got Ooman in the house. You got me in the house. It is time for the afternoon discussion talk, and you're here live. If you are a preparedmind.club or Subscribestar member, and you guys get to participate in the daily show with me to discuss all the stuff that's going on. And then everyone else gets to join in later and do their own stuff on YouTube. But for us, it's live. Now, folks, you've probably heard this name before. Lina Hidalgo. Okay, I'll give some more clues. She's a judge in Harris County. She's also a moron, folks. She's a judge, but she's a moron. She is blaming Trump. Trump is to blame, right? She's blaming Trump for 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungray's brutal rape and murder by 2 illegal aliens. And you know, this retarded Democrat expects everyone to believe her stuff because she's a Democrat, because she's a judge, because she's a woman, because she's a Latina. I don't know. It is crazy, folks. I read this and I just about fell out of my fucking chair. Trump won't allow Biden to fix the problem. Seriously, folks, this stupid bitch who is an actual judge. Oh, she's been in trouble as well. That's where you would have learned it. She still gets a microphone. She still gets the media to listen to her. Now, they called her on it. They questioned her a little bit, but, because she didn't want them to politicize the death of the girl by politicizing the death of the girl. It's unbelievable. And it's pissing me off. And in fact, you know what? Americans are waking up and they're all getting pissed off. They are. I sure hope more are getting pissed off than I realize, but it's happening. It really is. This lying right to our face is just off the hook, folks. Off the hook. I mean, we now have evidence. Go on the internet. Type in FBI, CIA, 2020 election interference. It's been confirmed, but I'm sure the fact checkers are going to let you know it's not true. In fact, Trump was being interviewed. Trump is being interviewed by Newsmax, who put at the bottom, this is supposed to be super right-wing stuff. Newsmax puts at the bottom, Newsmax has accepted the 2020 election as legitimate. Crazy. Are you kidding me? The 2020 election, with all of the lies, cheating, stealing, programming, hacking, switching, flopping, flooding. They do. Let me continue. The FBI and CIA, the evidence is now out there. We're heavily involved in the 2020 election theft. Now, how is that? How? Well, because they said Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian propaganda. You see, that's interfering in an election. The idea that the president of the United States can have a family member that is that compromised, that open to blackmail and extortion. You don't want them anywhere near the White House. Yet they're like, oh, no. No. Is Congress going to take action against the FBI and the CIA? Not a chance. They won't even impeach shitheel Biden for what he's done after getting in office, much less the lying, cheating, and stealing that was done to get him in office. And Trump's to blame for everything in the last 3.5 years. I'm really sick and tired of this crap, folks. Just like I'm sick and tired of all the nonsense. Just too much. Let me calm it down here. I'm going to give you a nice SHTF surprise. It's now been proven that Rear Admiral Rachel Levine, remember Rachel Levine, the man who pretends to be a woman in the Biden administration at the top, right? Rear Admiral, and I gave her that designation because of what I think he is. Rear Admiral Rachel Levine successfully pressured the entire medical industry expert list to promote child sex changes. Sounds like coercion to me, using government pressure, right? Now, the reason coercion is important today is the United States Supreme Court fell flat on its fucking face. Judges Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, who wrote the opinion, say that it's okay for the Biden administration to pressure social media companies to silence you and to tell me to shut up and to take our free speech away. It's okay for the government to tell private companies what to do using the coercive pressure of government on a corporation that owes its existence to the government to silence us. So it sounds to me like Admiral ass bouncer Rachel Levine, it pressured medical experts to say, hey, child sex changes are great. It sounds to me again like coercion. It's certainly unethical. It's certainly unfounded in science. It's certainly not part of any historical precedent. This made-up clown shit will be stopped with violence, folks. Violence. And I'm going to give you just a small example of the violence I'm talking about. I am now having piped into my social media windows that I take a look in that people are now setting up stings to catch child predators, whether they're after little girls or little boys. And then they're getting their picture and they're going to the meetup site, whether they're famous or not, it doesn't matter where they're at, what time of day. And then the guy's filming this, exposing them in this civilian sting. Then they beat the shit out of them and embarrass them. And when I say beat the shit out of them, I mean punching, slapping, kicking even, knocking them the fuck out, chasing them through grocery stores and like Walmart type stores, questioning them about who they are and what they're doing. But literally beating them. Violence, folks. It's coming. Because people like Rachel Levine, people like Joe Biden have been abusing their power and using coercion to push a message. And people have had enough. I am not glamorizing it or glorifying it. It is happening all by itself. All by itself. Now, I've got this little story I want to share with you. Remember a few days ago, an anti-Israel protester, I like to call him a terrorist ham ass, like these pro-Palestinian fucksticks. They took over, that's not the right way to express it. They entered a New York subway car, this masked anti-Israel protester and all his buddies, and then demanded that Jews identify themselves. Right? Zionists, Raise your hand if you're here. This is your chance to get out. Well, apparently, a manhunt was started over that. He turned himself in. This guy, did he turn himself in? Right? These Hamas supporters got on a New York City subway car. The leader of them said, Zionists, raise their hands, right? This is your chance to get out. Well, it turns out, according to some experts, that harassment and coercion are crimes, right? So Leora Rez, who is the director of Stop Anti-Semitism, said after this person named Salah, after he's identified, we are thankful that the NYPD is acting to hold this perpetrator accountable for his actions. Well, wait a minute. Didn't Biden use coercion, the power of his office, to threaten businesses and individuals, demanding they take the now proven dangerous and proven deadly Jim Jones juice? Because his patience was growing thin, implying he would bring harm to us by losing contracts, losing jobs, losing your rights, right? Now, as far as I'm concerned, this idiot who got on the thing and, trying to expose Zionists, right? He can burn in hell. And Biden, every Democrat can go with him. It's incredible, folks. Yeah, incredible that the Supreme Court can make a absolutely horrifying free speech case go the wrong way. You know what they did? They claimed nobody was harmed as the excuse to deny the motion, right, to hear about Biden and the government, right, censoring us through and using social media. Nah, no one was harmed. You don't have any standing. How about all the small businesses that are closed? How about people that are dead or dying still because of what they did? Isn't, that's proof that someone was harmed because our words, we were correct. It is poison. It is death. It is wrong. You shouldn't have to do it. What fucking right does the government have in silencing others through coercion? Didn't we just learn that coercion is wrong? You can't even address Zionists and say, get the fuck off my train, because that's coercion. Well, how about this? How about some legal coercion? Representative Anna Paulina Luna, Republican, state of Florida, is going after Merrick Butlick Garland. She says he has until Friday morning to turn over the tapes or be taken into custody. Now, number one, I love it. Put these fucking people on the hot seat. But quit screwing around. Does the FBI, the ATF, and the Department of Homeland Security, do they give warnings to people they're investigating? Do they give warnings to people who have violated the law? No, they show up and arrest you or just shoot to kill. And then go, they resisted. They ought to go right after Merrick Garland. You've been given enough warning and enough time. You're done. Done. Folks, it's getting crazy. It really is. Good thing, good thing I am sane, right? Good thing I am normal. Good thing my brains work. Got a problem, though, folks. The rest of the world, not so much. Well, let's do this. Let's get into the Pfizer files. Well, this one comes from Darcy T, who just can't help it because this shit's everywhere. A FedEx driver was delivering a package, only age 43, dropped over dead of a heart attack. No, wait a minute. He didn't die, but he did drop over as if he was dead, and he lived, right? Probably, according to Darcy T, climate change. Now, FedEx drivers are not known for being super athletes, but the ones that I see, they drive like mad. They jump out of the truck. They look like O.J. Simpson running through the airport in the Hertz Rent-A-Car ad, right? Get your package on the porch, take a picture of it, run back to the thing. No air conditioning. They work hard. I think they're in pretty damn good shape. All the ones I see do not look like Cliff Clavin. They're all pretty young and in good shape. 43-year-old guy working that type of job just has a heart attack. You combine that with everything else we're seeing, I'm not buying it. Not going to buy it. Wouldn't be prudent. Wouldn't be prudent. And I couldn't leave this alone. This is an opinion, a thought, a public service announcement that was provided to me. Every government official complicit in the open border should be charged for crimes committed by those they let loose among us. Thank you, Chin Music. Now, do you agree or do you disagree? Agree? Disagree. Every government official complicit in the open border should be charged for crimes committed by those they let loose among us. Is there any basis for this in logic, in reason, in law? Well, let's see. Let's try this. The people coming in are only in because of government officials who said, yes, let's keep the border open. We have crimes being committed from day one when they started this new policy years ago. Robberies, assaults, rapes, murders, drugs, human trafficking, etc. It's not like after 3.5 fucking years, they don't have any evidence that this is a problem. But let's go one step further. Let's not just hold them accountable. Let's use their own left-wing logic against them. So Remington Firearms makes a rifle. That rifle is purchased by someone. It's sold, it's purchased, it's sold, it's purchased, maybe even gotten stolen. But a criminal gets their hands on this Remington rifle, and they use it to commit a crime. The Democrats believe that the victim of that crime should sue Remington, and Remington should be held accountable because they made the gun. They made that rifle, and therefore they're responsible for its use. Well, these government officials, they made the rule. They're responsible for its use. What rule? Opening the border. You want to open the border? They are responsible for the consequences, not only as government officials, but for manufacturing the crisis. What are they going to say? Oh, we just opened the border. We didn't tell those people to rape and murder little girls. They just did that on their own. Folks, the rifle doesn't do anything on its own. Opening the border, shit gets done all by itself. And if you think the Democrats don't really know that, then you're just really not tuning in to thinking. Anyways, we're going to have a lot of fun here. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Get your questions down below. Folks, it's hit the fan. It is a wacky-ass Wednesday. Is it Wednesday already? Wednesday? I keep thinking it's Tuesday, but that was yesterday. That was Taco Tuesday. How can I forget that, right? Well, we got some interesting stuff here. Joe Biden's administration, his campaign officials say, no, it's not happening. We're not going to drug test old Cracker Joe. That's right, old Cracker Joe. He's not. No. Him and Corn Pop. No. If you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black. Nope. No, they're not going to test him. President Trump did make a joke, though. Did make a joke saying, he's going to show up to the debate. He's going to be all jacked up and excited and full of energy, because he used what was found in that little bag in the White House. Right? He made it crack. Trump did about cocaine. So now the media thinks another Trump joke is real. They're worried. They say that Biden's using coke. Look, that's the least of my worries is that old dotard using cocaine. In fact, I say give him all the cocaine he wants. Sprinkle that shit on his cornflakes. But nothing is going to save him, folks, in this debate. There is no way in hell he is going to be saved. Let me tell you why. Do you think Joe Biden can stand up to the energy of Trump? And I'm being honest. I'm not being partisan here. I do know that Trump does 2-hour and longer campaign stops, speeches, where he works without notes for hours talking and debating and bringing up topics. Do you think Joe was going to make it that long? He goes to a funeral, he's got to look at his watch. He goes to any sort of presentation, he falls asleep in 5 minutes. If he has to stand for too long, he starts crapping his pants. Do you think for 5 seconds Joe Biden is not going to fall asleep at the podium and crap his pants at the same time and be able to use his brains to keep up with Trump? Unbelievable. Sadly, though, the Democrats were planning on replacing Biden for the debates, but this brilliant Democrat presidential candidate is now off the list. That's right, a Soros-backed California district attorney. Hey, how about that? Right, who's a member of the Ethics and Integrity office in District Attorney Gascon's world. This ethics and integrity official faces 11 felony charges. Well, unlike the Trump felony charges, these are actually real. Just unbelievable, folks, what's out there. They are here to lie, to cheat, to steal, to coerce, to use duress and threats against us, to tear America down. Not to mention, the Democrats are destroying America. Right? CNN was so worried about Joe Biden. Being accused of taking cocaine, that they actually had maggot Mike Johnson, right? Speaker of the House, Republican maggot Mike Johnson, on their channel. And he said, hey, no one expects that Joe Biden will be on cocaine. No. I mean, that's really what they wanted to talk to him about. I would ask different questions of maggot Mike Johnson, like, why haven't you impeached Trump? No, wait. We've already impeached Trump 2 times. See, if you said, hey, Mike, why don't you impeach Trump? He would probably go, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do it. Right? You're like, impeach Biden. He's like, oh, no. We need to investigate that. We've had 3.5 years of this clown. Impeach Trump. Oh, you bet. Impeach Biden. Not a chance. Maggot Mike Johnson. There's a reason I call him that. There really is. There really is, folks. Unbelievable, folks. And I wanted everyone to know that Jamal Bowman has been defeated in his primary, his election bid. Who is Jamal Bowman? Well, he's a member of the Jihad Squad. He's a big mouth Democrat. He's the one who, in an effort to interfere with congressional duties, pulled the fire alarm. Remember that? Remember hearing about Congress and the fire alarm? And they got this fucking idiot, Jamal Bowman. Not Hakeem Jeffries, but Jamal Bowman. Right? They got him on film. And he had some chicken shit excuse. And, it's a joke. No, it was an accident. It wasn't me. It was artificial intelligence. Every excuse known to man. This guy was not arrested. No, he wasn't arrested and indicted. He wasn't charged with anything. No jail time. But what did he do? He interfered with official government business. He stopped a vote from happening by pulling a fire alarm. But if you are a January 6th protester who saw Washington, D.C. Metropolitan police officers standing by a door standing by a door, waving them, come on in, come on in. They were charged with obstructing congressional activity. Some of them are still in jail, folks, 4 years later. Nearly 4 years later, Americans are being held in a gulag. Some with no trial dates at all. But Jamal Bowman, go right ahead there, Busta. Pull that fire alarm. Interrupt official business. No one cares. No one cares. Now, this story is really interesting, and I wanted to end my monologue with it before I get to your questions, which will be down below. I found this absolutely crazy. In West Virginia, there is a man and a woman. They're a couple. They adopted 5 children, 5 black children. And they locked them in their shed. And they've been using them as slaves, according to the media. I find that absolutely filthy and disgusting. That these West Virginians would do that to children. Now, I don't have the real details beyond that. I just have the headlines in a news story. But I want to bring it to your attention that it was Democrats. It was Democrats in the 1860s who refused to free the slaves. It was Republicans and a Republican president One moment, please. Okay. It was Republicans that freed them. It was Democrats in the it was Democrats in the 1960s. Again, we're fast forwarding from the 1860s to the 1960s. It was the Democrats who obstructed, blocked, refused, and voted no on the civil rights movement. It was Republicans that passed it. It was Republicans that passed it. The question I have for you is, do you have any doubt? Any doubt at all? Do you have any doubt at all that this couple in West Virginia are Democrats? I have no doubt at all. 100% guarantee it. I guarantee it. No doubts in my mind. That's how sick these people are. It really is. That's how sick these people are. But here we are, folks. It's 2024. The government, no problem coercing you to do things. The government can coerce social media to silence us, big tech to silence us, take away our rights, expose us to danger, loss, and threats. Holding them accountable? Nope, not going to happen. Holding us accountable? For what? What'd we do? Oh, well, you interrupted Congress. You interfered with official government duties. That's a crime. How about interfering with a private citizen? Why isn't that a crime? I'd like to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Let's do this. Let us move on. Let us go to the inner circle. Okay, and we're back. Mr. Ooman, let's have some fun with this. What do you want to start with, man? What's up? And he says, what a wacky Wednesday it has been. He's seen a bunch of fringe news sources. By fringe news source, I think Ooman is referring to the fear porn uber dumbass conspiracy theorists out there. Now, I don't really regard what we do as dumbass conspiracy theorists, even though from time to time I share them for the purposes of entertainment and to cause people to think. But let's finish up with what Uman has to say, and I'll share my thoughts. As part of his plea deal, Julian Assange has to delete all data relating to the Democrat National Committee. Haven't been able to confirm it. If true, they found his price and he sold out. Everybody has a price, be it monetary or otherwise. I really like this topic. Yes, Julian Assange, he's been freed, but you're going to erase all of your Democrat National Committee, all of your Democrat stuff, whether it's Obama and Michelle and Michael or Hillary and Bill or Eric Holder or Biden and Biden's family and Biden's son. Remember, he was 12 years ago. He could have had Hunter information, Jeffrey Epstein information with all these Democrats tied to it. So sure. They said, hey, dude, you go ahead and erase that stuff and we'll let you go. That's I would call that a conspiracy theory because can't confirm it. I mean, how are you going to confirm parts of a secret plea deal where the hearing is going to be held in the Marianas Islands, which is out in the middle of the Pacific on the other side of Hawaii? Right? Now, if it's true, you bet that's the price of freedom. You know what the other part is? I mean, if I was Julian Assange and that was the deal, after ruining 12 years of my life, I'd be like, yeah, I'll do that. The first thing I would do is go spread it around and make it public. Right? But, I'm sure Julian Assange is a man of his word. Maybe he had to prove that it was erased. I don't know. I mean, how are they going to do that? Why wouldn't he have all of his information in a dozen different drop files hidden around the world in email? It's hard to prove, right? Was it burned onto a CD? Yeah, he probably did that stuff back when you could burn stuff onto a CD. I'm not buying it, though. I'm not buying any of this stuff. He cut a secret deal. Don't you think it would be easier to make a clone of him and then free the clone and then take the real Julian Assange to a military base and torture the absolute shit out of him? Meanwhile, dumbass clone is off playing around in Australia. I mean, it's more believable to me that they can clone him to full age so that we've got a fake Julian Assange out there. In fact, the pictures I saw of him, he seemed to be different. He didn't look the same. Didn't look like a man who has spent the last several years solitary confinement, 23 hours a day, locked in a cage, basically 7 foot by 10 foot. Just not quite buying it. But yeah, I mean, hey, if we're going to talk conspiracy theory, I may as well throw my own out there about a clone, right? Well, we'll never know. We will never know because he's not allowed to talk about it. I am certain he won't be allowed to give the details. What about all the information he had, though? Where was it? Where was it stored? It's always about misleading us. It's always about lying to us. Why does the government tell us a 95% truth and sprinkle it with 5% bullshit? Why? Why not just give us the whole truth and let us think for ourselves? Because they like to lie to us. They like to bullshit us. They get off on it. There's times they lie when it doesn't matter at all. Have you noticed that? Right? The more simple and silly something is, the greater the lie has to be so that they can just keep lying to us. Like that stupid bitch judge saying Trump is responsible for a 13-year-old, 12-year-old girl being raped and murdered by 2 illegals. And then they keep saying the lie over and over again. Now, Uman says, when you put up that much evidence, it gets ignored. Everyone gets mad at you instead of the misdeeds of what was revealed, and then you get punished for it. At some point, you'll say, fuck it. Right. Julian Assange, he put up lots of evidence. It didn't really get ignored. I mean, I knew it. You knew it. We all had a chance to read it. What are you going to do about it? I can't go and prosecute. I can't go and arrest. I can't take someone to trial. I can't drag their ass off to jail. It's not my thing. What I'm thinking we're going to need is more of these pedophile trackers, these pedophile hunters. We ought to turn them into, rogue government hunters and start finding these government agents who are failing to do their job and calling them out and then just bitch slapping the fuck out of them, beating the shit out of them for failing to do their job and causing all these troubles. I mean, what's more important? Let me ask you this question. And it's not quite rhetorical, but it is tongue-in-cheek. It is satire. These guys are going to stores and parks and wherever that these wannabe pedophiles are trying to meet up with young boys and young girls, and they're beating the shit out of them. Is that worse? Not the beating the shit out of them part, but this pedophile wants to meet a 15-year-old girl or a 14-year-old boy in a park, in a store. Is that worse or not as bad as the illegal aliens that are raping, kidnapping, and murdering underage girls? Right? Meeting someone is one thing. Being some kind of pedophile predator is one thing, but actually doing it is another. And whose fault is it? It's Remington's fault, right? It's Remington Firearms. We have to blame the person responsible for making the object. So Mayorkas and Karine Jean-Pierre and Biden are responsible for the border. So these pedophile hunters ought to go after them and give them the slap-down treatment, huh? Because it's far worse to kidnap, rape, and murder than it is just to go meet an underage girl, right? Just ask yourself, what's worse? Anyways, we just going full circle there, man, full circle. Julian Assange, yeah. Anyways, Name Redacted said, the world is wrecked. Maybe he figured there was no point left to make. The world is wrecked. So maybe Julian Assange figured there's no point left to make. Is that it? Is that what we're saying here? The world is wrecked. People need to continue to hear, know, understand that their leadership, our political leadership, is the problem. Not me, not you. The terrorists aren't really the problem. It's their enablers that allow them to become terrorists. These enablers who then supply them with military weapons, whether directly, like Hillary Clinton and Benghazi and Al-Qaeda terrorists, or indirectly, as in Obama and Biden giving weapons to Ukraine, who then turn around and sell them to terrorists. Right? Maybe he figured there was no point left to make. No, there's a lot of people just now waking up. Just now waking up. Maybe Julian Assange has figured 12 years he's put in his time. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? I still think it's probably some political effort to help Biden. Does he really think that he's going to win the youth vote by freeing Julian Assange? Does he really believe that hackers will respect Biden for letting Julian Assange go? Well, the only reason I think that is because the timing. It's too coincidental. Biden's numbers are sinking lower and lower, and he's grasping at everything he can. He's pandering to Black Americans. Apparently, he's pandering to computer nerds. He's pandering to students, saying he's going to cancel their debt. He panders to the illegals by promising them more and more and more. Crazy stuff, folks. The world is wrecked, but people are still waking up, right? Just because a party has started doesn't mean the door can't open and let more people in. I'm all about opening the door. It's an SHTF party. Everyone, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. All right. Thank you. Name redacted. Woo! We got a lot to talk about. Mr. Uman, who do we want to throw in next? Who wants to step in the ring? And it's Mr. Diving Frog. And he says, I saw a news piece on how the mouthing rebels are parading Houthi rebels. I saw a news piece on how the Houthi rebels are parading captured CIA Mossad around their streets. That one guy looked awfully American. I saw this dude and didn't know what to make of it. The Houthi, not the mouthing, the Houthi rebels have captured CIA Mossad. Well, we know what CIA is. That's Central Intelligence Agency. Mossad is the Israeli version of the CIA. Now, would you be surprised that in the country of Somalia, if you're in Somalia and you've got a boat, you're a pirate. If you're in Somalia and you've got a gun, you're a terrorist. I mean, that's about all they make there is terrorism and war. But they captured some people. It wouldn't surprise me because they did something very similar to what Hamas did. And that's that they threw this guy, I think, in the back of a truck and drove him around the city and showed everybody. But Badass Diving Frog is saying he looked awfully American. It's kind of hard to tell, you know, just by looking at someone. I've met Mexicans, folks. We're talking 100% no hable farm worker Mexican who looked as American as me, except he had darker hair. He did not have any phenotypical appearance. You would have said that dude is a white man, an American, no doubt. In fact, I thought he was fucking with me when I kept trying to talk to him. He's just like, no hable. I'm like, don't play me like that. Where the fuck is the boss? No hable. No hable. I'm like, stop fucking with me, man. I get that. It's a great joke. I get it. You and all these other Mexican guys, you don't speak English. I just need to know who the patron is. Who's the jefe? You know, and I finally figured out. It's just how people look sometimes. You can never tell. Anyways, I did not badger the fucking guy. I didn't belittle him, and I certainly didn't beat the shit out of him. And this was years ago. But yeah, it's hard to tell. But, you know, sometimes. In fact, I think that's one of the keys to being a successful Mossad or CIA agent. And that is, if you're going to be in someone else's country, you need to look like you belong there. Talk about wanting to be a gray man. You do not want to walk through Somalia with this face and this hair standing 6'6". That would be a mistake. You don't want to look like Uman. That would be a mistake. No. You definitely don't want to look like Kaz. That'd be a giant mistake. Now, Vaughn, on the other hand, he'd probably blend right in. Just kidding. Vaughn would not. But that's what they do, folks. That's what terrorists are going to do. And in fact, let me draw another connection for you. In another 10, 15, or 20 years in Europe, I am expecting the new majority race to be dragging everybody around in the back of their trucks as prizes. Because they're saying, you bet, by 2040, the Muslims will be a majority in Europe. And Europeans will be minority, out of control. And those democracies, folks, will become caliphates, theocracies, Muslim countries. What a fucked up situation. All right, let us continue if we shall. We got some time to have some fun. And Corey checks in, and he's got this to say. A temporary election worker has been arrested after allegedly stealing a tabulation key at the Maricopa County Tabulation and Election Center last week. He stole a tabulation key, a fob, like a key fob. You bet. He was arrested, and guess what? The FBI is being accused of trying to wipe all data on this guy off the internet and off social media. Not only that, he's also screwing with a property that was, I believe, owned by Republicans. In other words, this guy, this criminal scumbag in Arizona, which is a terrible, folks, place to be right now because of who is in charge of it. Right? Katie Hobbs, the governor, in trouble for embezzling. Taking a bribe for $400,000. Her husband is pro-fruitcake, pro-trans, pro-child endangerment, pro-child conversion, pro-child grooming, and she's proud of him. In fact, just today, Corey, the Republican election official, well, he's a rhino, but he has endorsed Biden. How can an Arizona Republican official endorse Biden? It is truly maddening, folks. So this election worker who's a temp, apparently has an FBI connection, gets caught stealing a key fob for the election machines, the ability to get into the machines, hack in the machines, change data on the machines. I don't understand why we don't go to paper ballots, require identification, vote on election day and election day only. Period. 3, simple. Vote in person, prove who you are, and it goes on paper, and you get 1 vote also. The only reason to oppose any of that is because you are a fucking cheater and you want more cheating. And I think that's a no shit answer. I really do. I think that is a no shit answer. Because when I say that, why else would you oppose those things? Not hearing it. Very quiet in the studio when I asked, why else would you want to have pre-election day voting? Why else would you want to have no ID required? Why else would you say, well, we don't care. We want illegals to vote, right? Yeah, we're not going to have ID. We're not going to have voting all the time, right? Yeah, it's obvious. It's beyond obvious. It just truly is, folks. Judge Lena Hidalgo blaming Trump. And the girl's name, folks, the 12-year-old girl's name was Jocelyn Nungare. She says, "Are you politicizing this?" Right. Crazy stuff. Let me continue. Thank you, Corey, very much. I appreciate it. Mr. Uman, let us continue if we shall. Who else wants to step up? And it's Chin Music. And he says, speaking of climate change, was I speaking of climate change? Well, hell's bells, man. Let's talk about it. Speaking of climate change, we are setting records that haven't been touched since the 50s. Doesn't that mean it happened before hairspray and SUVs? Woo! Yeah, you nailed it. Boy, we're setting temperature records we haven't had since the 1950s. 1950s, we did not have, hairspray, chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. Well, those were for punching holes in the ozone. And SUVs. Well, you know, back then, SUVs, well, today they get around 20 miles to the gallon. Back then, cars got 10-ish. But certainly there are probably a multitude of cars greater than the 1950s. I'm going to guess 10 times the cars on the road today. Crazy world. What else didn't we have back then, right? Back prior in the 50s. Well, we didn't have the incredible amounts of what? What are they saying? Changes the weather. Well, of course, it's carbon. It's just plain old carbon. No, they didn't have the carbon output back then. They just didn't. They didn't have the factories. They didn't have the cars. They didn't have the houses. That, you know what a huge producer of carbon is? Electricity. Electricity that goes to EVs. After, of course, all the electricity used to make the EV, to, refine the metal, process the metal, right? All that, all of the batteries, the tires, all of the wiring, the plastics that go in to an EV that then uses coal-fired power to charge so they can feel good about the planet. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But to say that, the 1950s, what was going on back then? Nothing. What are they saying today? And I believe Uman brought this to my attention, that carbon dioxide emissions are cooling the planet off. And at the same time, it's also heating the planet up. How can it do both? What is this? Is this smart carbon? Smart carbon. It knows when to cool things and it knows when to heat things up. And it's autonomous. Apparently, it does whatever the hell it wants. But even with all this smart carbon out here, it was still hotter or colder, depending on the season, in the 1950s. How about that? Back then, cars didn't have air conditioning, by the way. Nope. If you wanted to cool off while driving, you went faster. More carbon. You open up those little wing windows and they just blast you with that freaking hot air. And if you were a kid like I was when there was no air conditioning, you're in the back seat, dying, panting with your head out the window like a dog and your tongue hanging out. Anyways, let's do this. Man, who's up next? We're inside that 10-minute mark, less than 10 minutes and counting, and it's Diving Frog, and he's back. And he says, John, the Democrats have just determined that Donald Trump is responsible for wiping out the dinosaurs. Also, he stuck a nail in the first stone wheel, purposefully causing the world's first traffic jam. These are two examples that Democrats would believe if the media told them Donald Trump is responsible for the wiping out of the dinosaurs. News at 11. We'll give you the story later. Just believe us now. Really. And then, of course, he stuck a nail, which, of course, is made out of metal, in a stone wheel, which doesn't have air. It caused a traffic jam when there weren't roads or multiple wagons and chariots. But Democrats would believe it. I mean, it's just as believable to me to read what he wrote as the facts and the truth as it is for idiot judge, dumb whore of a judge, Lena Hidalgo, who wants to blame Trump for a 12-year-old girl being kidnapped, raped, and murdered by illegal aliens. Period. That's who these people are, folks. That's how dumb they are. That's how dumb they think you are. That's how dumb their people are. These are, once again, the same people that live next to you, down the street, across the street, around the corner. They're everywhere. These idiot Democrats. And they're going to vote for Lena Hidalgo to keep her as a judge if she has an elected office. They're going to vote for Gavin Newsom. They're going to vote for Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. They're going to vote for, well, Camel Toes Harris and Joe Biden. Even if Joe Biden dies, they're still going to vote for Joe Biden. And even if the Democrats are dead, they're still going to vote 2 and 3 times. It's crazy, folks. It really is. The amount of filth and cheating is so off the hook. How hard is it to figure this stuff out? That's what I'd like to know. How hard is it? Why can't investigators investigate this? I mean, look what James O'Keefe has done, formerly Project Veritas. He's continuing to get these left-wing morons to admit on camera to massive crimes. Where's the prosecutions? Why isn't the Disney executive going to jail for discrimination against white people and Jews? Well, we'll just keep asking the questions until, I guess, the pedo hounds get after them. It has to. You see, people, bad guys, don't respond. They don't learn. All they understand is violence, which is why they go to war all the time. They go to war all the time because violence is how they get what they want. But we say, hey, look, we have a right to revolt when you guys become tyrants. They're like, oh my gosh, you guys you're insurrectionists, right? And they want to arrest us again. There's going to be a day. It's called the Day of Reckoning. Man, where, who, and what, and Heidi. And she says, I'm glad you made it, Heidi. I thought you were going to go and do some family stuff. Anyways, Heidi says, I bet they give JB, Joe Biden, I bet they give that dumb bastard the questions in advance so that he can write out his answers to read back. Well, Heidi, I mean, in a normal world, you and I could believe that. Except now we know Joe Biden doesn't know how to read. At least read with his mouth shut. Read words. Like as he's going through the teleprompter and the words go up and they want him to take a pause. Instead, he reads the word pause. Stop speaking. Right? They would have to give him not only the questions, but they would have to keep them in a specific order so he could read off the cards. And he's done this, folks. He's shown up at meetings with world leaders. And back when he was doing press conferences, he would show up with cue cards. And then if a question came out of order or a media member asked a different question, he would say, I don't, right. What was his response? One time I heard him say, you guys keep asking questions that I don't have the answers to, or you keep asking questions you were told not to ask. Right? It's just incredible. I don't think he could pull it off. I mean, would it be acceptable for a presidential candidate to listen to a question coming from the moderator, whose, by the way, husband is a how do we put this? He's a member of the intelligence community who made up the Steele dossier bullshit about Trump. Yeah, we can trust his wife as a moderator. Fuck. Anyways, let me continue. He's looking directly at the moderator who asked him a question. He's pretending to hear the question so then he can turn and lift up a card and read the answer. Is America going to buy that? Are they going to show Joe Biden from, well, the card level up only? But wouldn't we see his eyes down instead of looking at the camera with his answer? See, there's so many things here that's just completely wrong. But yeah, I mean, it would fit, I guess. It would make sense that we would get cue cards. I'm sure we're going to get nothing but softball questions, if that. Hey, Joe, what's your favorite ice cream flavor, man? You're great, man. We love it when you have the border open. Hey, Joe, what can you identify the shampoo that children use when you sniff their heads? Come on, Joe, tell us. Yeah, well, that's great, Joe. Way to go. Yeah, we love it when you sniff kids and then grope on them. I mean, there's such a bunch of fucking sycophants in the media. They'll throw those kind of questions out there. Mikey G says, all I think will happen is Biden asking, repeat the question, please. He's got to give an answer at some point. Well, what's he going to do? Is he going to do a Hillary Clinton? I can't recall. I can't remember. I can't recall. Is he going to do a Bill Clinton? I feel your pain on that one, but not going to answer it. What's he going to do? Take the fifth? I don't want to incriminate myself, so I'll take the fifth on that. Are they going to ask him any questions pertaining to his responsibility his constitutional responsibility to protect the border? Are they going to ask him hard questions about why did you give over $200 billion to fucking Ukraine? Right? Are they going to ask those? Nope. Repeat the question, please. Tick tock, tick tock. You know, and here's the deal. Whether or not they're using, and thank you, Mikey G, I appreciate it, man. Do you think for a second that he can make it 90 minutes without either passing out, you know, getting dizzy, feeling a little faint here? Is he going to pass out? Crap his pants. I mean, is the camera going to focus in on him if he starts just, you know, going for it? Woof. Doing the Biden dance? I don't know, folks. It is a wacky Wednesday, though, and I want to thank you for showing up. And then hopefully tomorrow, whatever direction I head, north, south, east, or west, I've got some internet, right? So I can do a Zero Dark 30 in the dark. Crazy world, folks. Crazy world. And for now, I'm going to let you go. But I'll be back. I'll be awake. Zero Dark. I'll see you then.